Once upon a time, restaurants and top chefs feared nothing more than a bad review from a food critic. Today, things have changed. If there's any doubt over the power that that's wielded today by social media influencers, this cautionary tale will convince you. Our media partner, the San Francisco Standard, has the story of a San Francisco chef who's had to step down from the restaurant he co-founded after an altercation with an influencer who posted about it. Did he get his just desserts, or was he unfairly ruined in this age of TikTok? Joining us live now to talk about their story, San Francisco Standard senior culture reporter Astrid Kane. Hey, Astrid, it's good to see you.
Good to see you. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing just fine. Better than the chef in this case. But let's start from the very beginning. Who are the main characters in this unbelievable story of our times?
Yes, this sordid little episode. Last week, the co-owner and chef of Kiz Cafe, a relatively new 3-month-old wine bar in Hayes Valley, had a very unfortunate run-in with a local food influencer. She came in for a planned collaboration, and he more or less berated her and said that her follower count wasn't high enough to really be worth his time, and that her followers weren't the kind of people who weren't going to eat in his restaurant anyway. And he may have said, do you know who I am? Which is never a good look for anybody. And so she tried to go through with it, but eventually had to walk away, and then posted a 5-minute video to TikTok, more or less excoriating him. Although, to be fair, she didn't name him or the restaurant, but it went viral and her followers deduced where it was. And within 36 hours, the chef had resigned from his position.
Okay. Before I show a little clip from her video, real quickly, for those of us who are not young and hip, what's a collaboration?
Yeah, a collab between a chef and an influencer is a mutually advantageous arrangement whereby someone comes in, more or less, for the promise of free food in exchange for giving their review, which is somewhat understood to be a positive, glowing one.
Okay, so this is very different from the age of like food critics that, hide, disguise themselves, go into a fancy restaurant, hopefully nobody ever knows who they are so they can write an honest, unbiased review.
I mean, it could be honest, right? The food could be excellent, but it is certainly not unbiased, right? Like they have every incentive.
Like the food critics, they do, like their newspaper
Correct.
Or whatever, yeah. Okay.
That is correct. And they're not anonymous, right? Not that all food critics are, but this is very much undertaken with everybody knowing the identity of all parties.
True.
Yeah.
Okay. So now here's a 5-second clip from her 5-minute video.
He keeps going on. He says that my cooking videos are homey, but he doesn't think I understand what they do at that restaurant. At this point, I'm crying.
Okay, so that's just a little taste of it. This influencer's name is Carla. Look, you told us a little bit about the conversation she heard when she walked into the restaurant, right? That was had between Luke Sung, the owner and chef, co-owner, I guess, and somebody else. Presumably, somebody else invited her there without him knowing? Is that what happened?
This is unclear. We never really got the full story. And I have reached out to her several times and have gotten nowhere, no replies. So I can't quite put the entire picture together. But from her one-sided account, what it seems like is she was invited in with full knowledge of the staff. And then the chef, being perhaps a bit of a diva, changed his mind on the spot and decided that she wasn't worthy.
Or it's possible maybe he didn't know, like everybody else around him knew, the business people knew, but he was like, what? Possibility.
I was told by the co-owner, who is now the sole proprietor, that he knew, he was aware.
Oh, I see. Okay. As to the questions he asked, right? I read your story, and it seems like he asked about her follower count, right? And I watched her video as well. And considering who her followers are those normal considerations in a collab? I mean, perhaps not said out loud in front of the person, but are those things that will go through the minds of a restaurant?
I would imagine so, right? You would want to partner with people who have a substantial follower count. At the time, last week, she had about 15,000 to 20,000 followers. The most amazing thing about this whole episode is less than a week later, she now has 400,000. So her follower count went up by 20-fold.
Meanwhile, his trajectory has gone in the opposite direction. We understand that he left the restaurant, right, and they closed it temporarily. And I just want to put up also to show people he put out an apology finally after a few days of this. And, he said he was sorry. And I'm not sure exactly what he said, but I guess my question to you is what happens to him from here, right? Because The Yelp reviews are now terrible, and his name, which was pretty highly respected because he had been in the San Francisco restaurant scene for a long time. I think he had another restaurant, Issa, right, from decades ago, and it's still operating, but without his involvement. So what happens to him now, and how can he recover?
Yeah, you're right about all of that. He did have a restaurant called Issa 20 years ago, and he got 2 James Beard nominations from it. So he's a substantial chef. He's somebody, yeah. So now he's licking his wounds. I have not spoken to him. I think he's wisely eschewing any and all media attention. It would probably be best to lay low for a little while. But Issa, which he sold 15 years ago, is now getting flack. They were in the blast radius of this whole incident, and people were coming after them online to the point where Yelp had to lock down that restaurant's page as well. So the mob got angry here.
So,
and as for
Astrid, we have about 15 seconds, but what is the moral of the story, and what's the takeaway in terms of the power of social media influencers?
It is becoming easier and easier, and there's a stronger and stronger incentive for people to make these one-sided videos that make themselves look out to be the victim, and you can destroy people.
All right, Astrid Kane, thank you so much. You can check out their story on the San Francisco Standard website and other original reporting on their site, sfstandard.com. And ABC7 will continue to bring you more segments featuring the Standard city-focused journalism every week right here on ABC7 News at 3.